Good day, everyone. Welcome. Oh, no. He didn't hit the wrong. Good day, everyone. Welcome to Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard. It's a great day. We're all above ground. The gentleman that I'm going to have as my guest today is an expert about those people who go below ground. You're watching us on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Please subscribe to us, watch us, listen to us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and of course, Facebook. My guest is a very handsome man, very distinguished man. In Detroit, we say that's fine, that he's fine, but his name is Dr. Curtis Williams. Hi, Curtis. How are you?
Hello, Attorney Bernard. How are you today?
Pretty good. I apologize for these glasses. I have an eye infection, and I can't. It's terrible. It's hideous. But in any event, I'm so glad you could join us today on Chop It Up.
Well, I'm delighted and excited to be here just to share with you all today. As you know, it's Saturday.
Yes.
It's a busy day, and so...
that's why you got that three-piece on over there.
At each one of the facilities that I happen to be the CEO of.
Why don't you tell us what those three facilities are?
Well, Trinity Chapel Funeral Home Northwest, located at 20226 West McNichols, on the corners of Hayden and Kentfield. And the phone number there is 313-532-8182. And then there's the Trinity Funeral Home Southwest at 1939 South Fort, F-O-R-T Street. And then there's the Stinson Funeral Home, located at 16540 Myers, between the Lodge and Puritan. So today is Saturday, and it's a day when people choose to have their services, and so I've been quite busy today.
I can believe it. And it's all about the Benjamin that is stacking up there with these three funeral homes and funerals all over the place. Yep. And cremations too. Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know about that.
You know what? I disagree with you, because that 12-carat diamond on your hand says a whole different story.
10 and a half.
Oh, okay, whatever, 10 and a half. But with everything else, it's 12. But in any event, it's so good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Tell us, you wear so many different hats in this community.
Well,
first, let's start at the beginning. You were born in Detroit, correct?
Born in Detroit.
Where'd you go to school?
Detroit Public Schools.
Okay.
Graduated from Holland Park High, out of a single family home. Had a very strict mother, and I thank God for her and her resting place, as of course she's passed on, but we thank God for her personality and her spirituality.
Were you like your mom or like your dad?
Well, I'm out of a single family home.
Okay.
And Mom did the best that she could. I'm the baby of three, the youngest of three. And of course, it was just persevere, go to school, try to do the best you can. One thing we don't do in our community, we don't instruct and tell our young people that you need to become educated. And yes, I do wear a lot of hats. As you very well know, I pastored a church for some 25 years in the city of Detroit. I retired. Going this year's 7th year that I have retired. And of course, we don't teach our young people how to get involved. First of all, volunteering, and secondly, helping someone that's even in a political field. If they volunteer, learn how to help someone else. It gives them the ability and the agility to learn how to reach out and reach other people of their same age group.
Well, it's not, one of your volunteer activities was being a police chaplain for the city of Detroit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I had the experience of being Detroit police chaplain for 33 years here in the city of Detroit. I am now a Wayne County Sheriff Chaplain, and those 33 years were quite interesting. We did barricaded gunman scenes. We had to counsel some officers in certain areas. And so it was very intriguing, and certainly the experience is remarkable, because you meet all kinds of personalities, all type of people from different walks of life.
As you know, I'm a police commissioner for District 2. I'm your elected commissioner. Actually, I'm your commissioner as well.
Yes, you are.
And
I voted for you.
Thank you so much.
So I'm expecting great things. I am.
They're already happening. But we have a very active chaplain corps now. I mean, it's a very sophisticated organization, as you probably know. And incidentally, your badge has been ordered. I know you had asked for your retirement badge from the chaplain corps.
And I did, yes.
The issues that a chaplain deals with can actually be quite traumatic. When people are killed, when children are killed, when there are accidents, it's more than a notion being a police chaplain. And I'm impressed by the fact that police officers are oftentimes traumatized by the things that they're involved in and by the scenes they come across. Is that equally traumatizing for a chaplain?
Well, it can be. And there's a yes and no to that. And when I say yes, it can be, because when they had the, I can't recall the year, but there was a accident at the airport. And when that accident occurred, they asked the Detroit police chaplains to come get involved. And that was one of my early experiences. And it was very challenging, even for me as a pastor, as a preacher. And at that time, I was a young preacher, and it was very
what
difficult.
Happened, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, there was an airplane accident. I can't remember the year. There was a bad accident at Metro Airport, and they asked Detroit police chaplains.
Were people hurt?
Yes, people were killed. I think there was only one survivor.
Mm-hmm. And oh, yes, there was. I remember
just
that
one survivor,
accident.
one child, I believe. And
yes,
it was very traumatic to go out there and see the plane in disarray, to see different people that you, of course, didn't know, and their limbs here, and of course their luggage. It's traumatic. But yes, police have a lot of officers have issues. And this is because of what they've seen.
Yes.
And let me just say this. Training is one thing, but experiencing something is another.
I agree.
There's a difference. And when you have experienced something that's a shooting, someone has committed suicide, a domestic complaint where someone has been hurt, it can be very challenging to that officer. They're only human, and they need our support.
I agree with you.
They need our support. Not only our physical support, but our spiritual support. Very important, because let's just say it like it is. All officers do not belong to a church. All officers do not have a pastor. All officers, and the thing is, the macho aspect is that officers, they seek counseling, but they like to do it in private.
That's absolutely true. And right now, of course, we are continuously recruiting actually for officers, and I need you to put that on the wire in terms of all of your businesses and so forth. We're looking to hire several hundred more officers. We have about 2,700 right now, but we need to hire about 300 more, and so we're doing this major recruitment drive. So everybody out there that's over 18 that has a GED or a high school diploma, please consider working with the police department. I try to get, when I meet young men and women all the time, I say, why don't you come down, and apply. It's a good job, great benefits, etc. And so I'm actively recruiting. All you have to do is be 18 years old, and have a clean record.
But also, you got to have the right personality.
Well, I agree.
Right disposition.
That's an issue.
Because you're not there. You're there to
serve and protect.
It's to serve and protect. Yes, but not to boss.
Mm-hmm.
Not to misuse or abuse.
Correct.
So you have to have the right personality.
Because you essentially have the power of life and death over people.
Absolutely.
All the time.
And so you got to join the department for the right reasons too.
Oh.
I just believe that you have to join. And of course, I don't know, but they used to have a process. I'm not sure that they have it now, where they would talk about the psychological of an individual.
We do a psychological evaluation of all recruits,
yeah.
And some people don't pass.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that's not permanent, not passing. You can come back later. It's just like if you're going through a divorce or something, let's
Sure.
say, or something, your mom just died,
Sure.
or something other traumatic event, and you may not pass the psychological test at that time, but in a year you will. That's true for the FBI as well.
Yeah.
You can always come back and retest, because they understand that even mental illness, it can be episodic.
Absolutely.
Like, you have a kidney problem today, you may not have it next year.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is.
Right.
So I'm glad that we're, getting more comfortable with
I
this.
call them challenges of life.
Okay, with the challenges
of life. There's a challenge every day that we wake up. You're challenged.
What's your challenge today?
Well, My challenge today is schedule.
Okay.
Because, of course, I promise to be here. I try to be a person of my word. All I have is my word. I don't care how much finance you may have. I don't care what your chromosome sharing may be. All you have is your word. And I always ask people to be a man or the woman of your word. Because that's all you got.
I agree.
And so
now the transgender, whichever, you know.
Yeah, well, okay.
Since you can't define woman anymore, I'm like, what? But anyway.
Well, that's another subject for another show. But today we have to think about my challenge is scheduling because, as you know, the governor's in town today.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, she's going to be at 11:30. There's going to be a little short meet and greet meeting today with her.
For what purpose?
Well, you know, today is the convention for the 14th down at what's that?
TLC?
TCF. What is it? The old Cobo Hall.
Cobo Hall.
The old
right.
Cobo Hall.
Okay.
Get our age, you know. They change these things. You got to keep up.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, so she's here for.
So she's here for the. What time is she speaking? Or do you
know?
know?
She's not speaking. There's a private sector at 11:30 today, and so then I have these services going on right now. I have a service right down the street, and so I was trying to take care of that prior to coming here.
Well, you know, it's supposed to be wonderful to wear all these hats. And I'm going to come to the politics in just 1 minute, but ladies and gentlemen, you're watching WJZZ Cool TV. I'm attorney Linda Bernard, also Police Commissioner Linda Bernard, and my guest today is the very, very distinguished Dr. Curtis Williams. You can watch us, listen to us, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay, back to Dr. Williams. He was telling us today, it's one of the topics I was going to talk to him about, is about his political involvement in the city. And we're going to develop it. But why don't you give us the history of your development, and then I've got some specific questions.
Well, of course, I started being involved in politics on a light surface, helping and sharing with my late cousin, Jackie L. Curry.
Jackie Curry.
She was a city clerk.
My daddy dated her.
Well, that was my cousin at the city clerk, and that's why I kind of started helping her because at that time, of course, I still am, but I was a minister going into pastorship, and just helping her to go and get into churches and be able to speak to congregations. And then I started helping Dennis Archer, and I have some.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I helped Dennis Archer because Dennis Archer had more of the small 500 membership churches or less helping him when he came into the mayorship, becoming the mayor of the city of Detroit. And of course, the late Coleman Young, I had a lot of opportunities. I have some pictures when I was young, and have a lot of opportunities that I had shared with the former Coleman Alexander Young. And it was a great opportunity, and that's why I know his son so well, is because, you know, I knew the father, and it was a great relationship. Again, I was much younger than I am now. But that's where it started from. And then, of course, now I am the sitting chair of the 14th Congressional of the Clergy. And I must give kudos to my friend.
You're the chair of the 14th Congressional District?
Of the clergy.
Of the clergy,
yes.
Okay.
And which, as you know,
there's a clergy division?
Yes, well, what we do, we try to give some insight to the members of the 14th, and, of course, try to keep the meetings clean.
Oh, why? But anyway, go ahead. No fun, but I'm just teasing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and, you know, the Bible says, let the greatest among you be the servant. And I say to people, if you want to be great, learn how to serve.
Absolutely.
And God, and it's just something about the paradigm of being a servant leader.
That's what I am.
A servant.
I've always felt like that. I never had to be like at the top. I do it from the bottom and push everybody else.
I never wanted to be the king. I wanted to be the kingmaker.
Oh, we know that.
There's a psychology to that.
Okay. What's your birthday? Since we're talking about your psychology and this mental thing that you've got going. December what?
15th.
15th.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You're 2 days after Cynthia.
I know.
And 3 days. Oh.
We always share and say happy birthday.
Mm-hmm. And actually 3 days after my mom. It was the 12th.
Bless the Lord.
Yeah.
So
you're December. So that's where this quote humility comes from.
Well, you know,
you
got. I mean, you. I just think if you want God to take you places and open up doors for you, You cannot afford to be arrogant. I know there are a lot of people who are arrogant, but there are a lot of people who are confident.
Confidence and arrogance are two different things.
Absolutely, positively. And so I'm more of a confident person than I am an arrogant person. I'm a very confident person.
You're very confident.
I'm confident in who I am in my own skin.
No question.
You know, and I don't have a problem being who I am. I can't be anyone else.
No, you cannot be.
You know, so I have to walk in my own circles and walk in my own steps.
Absolutely. So you are obviously with the 14th. Let's talk a little bit about politics in Detroit. Let's start locally and then let's just go nationally. We just elected a new city council. Coleman Young Jr. is on that council. It was my pleasure. I've known him. I've known his mother, as you have, for years.
Yes.
Ann Ivory. And Calvert, that was her name then. But and so I've known him, and I obviously knew his dad, etc., just as you did. What do you think about the new council and the so to speak, sort of new direction that we may have now that we have 3 brand new council people?
Well, certainly there's nothing wrong with new direction. Well, people are many times appalled to change.
Yes, they are.
But there has to be a change if things must continue.
What do you think needs to change in the city and city government?
Well, I think one of the things that needs to change in the city is the attitude and personalities of the people in the city. And when I say that, I mean, let's just take something small. People don't really like to keep their neighborhoods clean.
No, they don't.
They don't. You know, you could take some paint and make a building look better.
Correct.
You know, you can move cars out of the driveway that have been sitting too long. Small things.
But everybody doesn't have a 4-car garage like you do.
Okay.
So therefore,
they don't need a 4-car garage. But if a car is not running, a car is sitting, then, and you know you don't have the finances, or you're not going to get the car fixed, then just get rid of it.
But even if you're not going to get it fixed, sometimes cars just have a sentimental value.
Well,
I remember when Sharon McPhail had Mayor Young's red Cadillac. Remember? Mm-hmm. She, her husband, ex-husband, gave it to her, and it sat in that driveway for years. Mm-hmm. You know, just as a symbol to the community, or whatever. You know?
Yeah, but how
she never put it in the garage.
How does it make your community look?
Well, I don't think it makes it necessarily look bad, depending on the condition of the car.
Depending on the condition of the car.
Correct.
You know,
right.
But put it somewhere.
I mean, if we put your Rolls Royce out front, or your Bentley out front, or your Mercedes out front, it doesn't make the community look bad.
No, it doesn't, because they're running and they're moving. They're not sitting.
But you can't drive them all at the same time, so they're gonna be sitting for a little while anyway.
Well, yeah, but again, I just think there's some things that we can do on a small scale that we need to clean up our community, make our neighborhood look better. I'm out of the hood. I still live in the hood. You know,
What in the hood? Where in the hood did you live?
I still live in the hood.
Where?
And in the city of Detroit.
Oh, well, you live in the city of Detroit now. Detroit.
But I'm talking about. I grew up on Belvedere and Mack. I grew up
East Side.
Yeah, Gothie and McCullen. I grew up, you know, and as we watched the neighborhood deteriorate, then we moved to the west side, and so now Petoskey and Joy Road, apartment building next to what they used to call the old Petoskey Police Department.
Oh, wow.
You know, Maplewood and Beechwood. I grew up in those neighborhoods, okay? And I still go to those neighborhoods. I grew up in Holland Park. And,
well, you said you went to school there.
Yeah. When Mayor Bob when he was the mayor, Holland Park was an A1 city. And I think there's things that we can do to help us. Help me to help you, and we can help ourselves. That's my thinking on that process. Because we talk about a world-class city, an A1 city. Well, there's some things that we can do as people who just live in the city. But we got to do it.
Well, I agree with that.
I don't mind a hand up. I don't mind help. I don't mind a lift, but I don't need you to do it for me.
I understand what you're saying, and I absolutely agree with you. It's very distressing to me as well, just the trash and all the trash on the freeway. When you get to Oakland County, there's no trash on the freeway. When I'm going down Davison and getting on the freeway, going out, there's trash everywhere. I mean, it's very disturbing to me that for some reason, I mean, I just think Wayne County needs to do a better job in terms of cleaning up our freeways and our roads and, you know, the embankments and so forth.
Well, we cannot expect a politician to do them. If you have road crews, they only can do so much. We have to do it themselves. I was driving just this week, car in front of me, the guy just took all of this trash and just we're at the red light, just took the trash and
Yeah, I've seen that.
and just throw it on the
my
street.
car is
Come
full of
on.
my trash on the right side. I know yours isn't, but mine on the right side on the floor. Because I refuse to throw trash out on the street.
Yeah, I mean,
And when I get time, I'll clean it all out. Put it in a bag.
you're going to
get it
stop
out.
at a gas station. You're going to get the car wash at some point. Just take you're going in the house, take the trash in the house. Why
Right.
throw it on the street?
No, I don't do that.
It's the mentality. It's the
Yeah, I know
mentality.
that.
And
But it's part of us being a disposable generation too. Everything is disposable,
But don't dump it on
and
the
it's a
street.
me.
But don't dump it on the street.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Because it's going to blow. Then I got parking lots always picking up paper. I pick it up myself. You'll see me out there. People
Me
drive
too.
by and blow it. I'm out there picking up paper.
Right, because you can't stand it. But we already know that you're a neat freak. I mean, you are beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, I went to his house once. It was like a mausoleum. I mean, you don't think anybody sits on anything. Nobody moves anything. Like you might have papers or something on it. No paper, no magazine, nothing. Earth, perfect.
I think everything has its place.
Obviously.
And as a minister, as a retired pastor, and even as a person, I just think things ought to be put in their place and things ought to be neat.
You got that on your mom?
I like excellence.
Oh, I like excellence too, but I'm not neat like you. I mean, it's amazing. It just that gene escaped me. But I absolutely agree with you about our
I
responsibility.
won't persecute you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That about our responsibility to keep our community clean and to stop trashing it. I don't understand that. I've never understood it.
I don't understand it.
I mean, I just seriously, I don't.
And people. I mean, I love people. I'm here. I'm a people person. I'm serving people. One thing you can say about Curtis C. Williams, he was a servant.
What's the C for?
Cortez.
Oh,
Cortez is Spanish for leader.
Oh, okay, Cortez. Leader. Okay, whatever you say.
And so, and I just think, the mentality has to change. It has to change among our young people. I just got to talking to one of the school board members of the E-Course school just a short ago. And, we're talking about me coming out there trying to talk to the young people because our young people, for some reason, we've lost a consciousness of who we are within ourselves. And when I say that, I mean that we can be the best that we can be if we want to be the best.
Well, that's true. You have to want to be the best. It has to be in your heart and soul. And I've always said that. I say it a little differently. Curtis, I tell everybody that I don't want to be in the top 10 or first runner-up. There's only one number in the numerical alphabet for me, and that's number 1. When I run an organization or run something, it has to be the best.
Yes.
There's no other way to be.
Yeah.
But so I understand what you're saying, and it's good. I think it'd be great if you go and you speak to the kids and talk to them. But I think a lot of your experience now too is relevant to the business community. And I don't know what business associations so I know that you're very politically involved, but I don't know what businesses other than maybe the Funeral Directors Association.
No, I belong to some organizations talk about alcoholism that we try to share. And alcohol.
You've never been an alcoholic?
No, I've never
I don't have
been.
any substance abuse.
I don't either. but I mean, I have one abuse. I love the water. I love
the water.
I love
It brings me
boating.
peace.
I love boating.
The water brings me
And
peace.
so that's probably that's probably one of my big problems.
No, it's not a problem. It's a
love-
wonderful
I
thing.
love water.
You're with nature.
I love boating. I love being on a boat. I love water, but it's
You mean you
it's-
love being on a yacht, which is what you have.
The consciousness of being
ladies, let's go back to that boat thing. It's
the
a yacht.
consciousness of being serene and relaxing, and just the water's so calming to me.
It is to me,
and
too.
it helps me think.
That's what I'm saying. It brings me peace. I mean, it just does. The sun and the water, God's elements. I mean, it really makes a difference to me. It's just peaceful. It's also for me a natural aphrodisiac. I've always loved water. I like fire, like in fireplaces too. But water.
When you come to my facilities, you'll see I have fireplaces. I like them. But the thing is,
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, I like fireplaces above. The funeral homes have fireplaces in there. But the thing is that my people, when I say my people, meaning the African American community,
Speak up a little bit if you don't
my
mind.
people, the African American community, they have to involve themselves. And I have a lot of young brothers working for me now
That's good.
because they seem to admire me, or for whatever reason that is, and they're involved. But yes, I'm involved in alcoholism. I'm involved in some drug abuse clinics, whereas I just try to sit and talk to them, and I'm also doing some things at churches, pre-planning for funeral services. And I do it for free. It's no charge. Where I go in and talk about, and you're more on the wills side and talk about wills and trusts. I just talk about the pre-need and funeral costs and that kind
Well,
of
you
thing.
have that insurance. I assume you sell that insurance.
No, I don't sell it. Oh, pre-need insurance, I don't
Yeah.
sell it, but I just tell people, they need it. I don't belong to any insurance company per se. I don't even recommend an insurance company. I just say to you, because I don't know what your situation is, you must do what's comfortable for you.
Pre-plan, you're saying
Yeah, just
your
pre-plan.
demise.
Have it ready, because we have so many people who don't have life insurance.
That's true. That's true.
And all of this plays together.
Yes, it does.
The
Yes,
Bible says, if my people will call by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, understanding. Knowledge, people are destroyed by not having these things. And so you need knowledge according, because all of us, I don't care how gorgeous you might be,
Or how handsome you might be.
you are going to make a transition
There's
out
no
of
question.
here. And don't put that burden on your family.
Well, I understand it. Well, now the new thing is, Dr. Williams, is to just do a GoFundMe.
Yeah, but GoFundMe.
I mean, who wants to beg for that?
Well, here's the deal with GoFundMe. GoFundMe goes to the person that sets it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to the funeral home. People, and unfortunately, my people, it's sad to say, people set up GoFundMes, and of course, the funeral homes don't see the money.
I thought that was part of it, that you pay, you're helping the family.
You're
with
helping
the
the
funeral
family.
expenses and their
You are
other
helping the
expenses.
family with the funeral expenses, but that don't mean they bring the money to the funeral home.
Oh, okay. Is it because the funeral home is too expensive?
No, not because the funeral home's too expensive. Because people sometimes have GoFundMes and they don't do the correct thing.
Well, that's often true. I've read about that. I mean, they said that happened with the Black Lives Matter movement as well. They don't, where the money go. That's always a question. Where did the money go?
Yeah, and it's very important.
Oh, I agree.
Where's the money going? Because is it going to the right place where it needs to be?
But in the funeral business now, isn't the majority or a lot of your business?
Say 87%.
Really? Are you serious? Nearly 90% of people now
87%,
are being cremated?
Yes.
That's amazing to me. I personally don't believe in cremation.
Cost of the cemeteries are so high.
What do you mean? Just give us an example. Give us a pro forma for the two different types of
the
funerals.
the funeral home can cost. Let's say we have a funeral. I'm going to low end, say $3,500. Okay, and they want to bury a loved one. The cemetery can cost as much as $4,000.
Separately from the 3,500, or
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
part of.
No, separately from the 3,500.
Okay, so the funeral home for the burial plot
The
is
funeral home services can be 3,500. Just throwing out some figures here.
okay.
Okay, but you can go to a cemetery, and depends on the area, whether front, back, or middle, whatever, and the cemetery, it can cost you more than the funeral itself. It happens all the time.
For the plot.
For the ground,
Okay,
you know.
I see.
I will say to any family, you need at least 15,000. Okay, you don't have to spend it all, but you need at least 15.
And what's that 15K for?
Well, that covers the cost of the funeral home, the cemetery, and of course whatever you want to do after you pay for all the expenses. People like repasses. You pay for the repass, you pay for everything out of that.
The limos.
Well, limo's a part of the funeral home.
Oh, that's part of the funeral home.
Yeah, that's not for that. So I said on the low end you're doing $3,500
Okay.
on the low end funeral.
there are a number of funeral homes, including yours, that have are sort of growing pretty rapidly. Well, of course, Stinson's was always there, but now belongs to you. I mean, Stinson's has been here forever.
Since 1935.
Oh, I didn't know. I knew my daddy knew about Stinson's and all that. Yeah, right. So I'm not surprised. But there are a bunch of new boys and girls on the block now.
Absolutely.
Um, the funeral business is a good business?
I'm going to say it's an okay business. Once upon a time, back in the 60s, early 70s, early mid 70s, when I came to be involved, and the 50s, of course, it was a good business for African Americans. But here,
But that's 40, 50 years ago.
okay,
So
but things have changed.
So you're saying this, but people are. I mean, there's new funeral homes everywhere now.
Mhm.
It used to just be Coles, Stinson, and then Swanson.
Mhm.
Now they're Polk, and I can't even think of all the names. The
they're
people
not
that
in
are on
business.
TV,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are new in the business. I mean, so
Well, I have 30. Trinity Chapel is 32 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I've been, but I started at Jeter Memorial as a young man in the 70s.
Are you an embalmer?
No,
Okay, so you
I
always
am
hired
an
an
owner.
embalmer.
I'm only a
A
owner.
business person.
I'm only the owner
Mhm,
of all
okay.
facilities. I have 3 licensees of funeral directresses, and I have embalmers, and
Of
I have
course.
full staff.
Yeah. But what's happening now that there are so many black?
Well, they want to be
People.
their own owners. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
They
there's
wanna-
nothing wrong with
They
that.
want
I
to be their
agree with
own
that.
entrepreneur.
I agree.
They want to see what they can do with their experience. Nothing wrong with that.
But that creates a lot more price competition
Absolutely.
because what you may charge for everybody is, as you say, they're not being buried anymore because of the 87%
Yeah.
of people.
My business.
Yeah, are cremations.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand that
Well,
because let me just tell you, maybe it's because of
people don't
my
want to spend.
orientation. I'm Catholic.
They don't want to spend the money too.
I know, but I'm Catholic, and my grandmother used to say all the time, this cremation was just something you didn't ever did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and she would say, well, Linda, fire won't burn me. I mean, and I've always believed that. I don't want to be burned up, period. She'd say, fire won't burn me. On the other hand, I don't believe in being in the ground because I don't like worms and dirt anyway. But I do like mausoleums. Seriously.
Mausoleums are expensive.
Yeah. How much are mausoleums?
Well, it depends on where you're going.
Woodlawn.
Woodlawn's expensive.
Okay, how much is it?
Let me just put it to you. What I've had to pay when Mom passed, which was in, matter of fact, she passed on April 6, 1997. Her funeral was April 12th, and her birthday is April 16th.
Oh.
And back in those days,
My sister shares April 19th.
yeah, and
We
back,
just all connect.
yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Back in those days, in 1997, I paid the $5,900 for the wall.
Okay.
And then when my brother Pat was killed, which we still don't know anything about that, in 2013, the day after his birthday, a stray bullet just came through the wall.
What city? I mean, where?
Detroit, right over here on the east side. Matter of fact, on Savannah, right, not far
I'm
from
so
here.
sorry. I did not know
Yeah,
that.
2013, he was
What was his name?
William Maurice Williams.
William Maurice Williams.
Yeah, and so at the time, it was about 11:30 that evening. I spoke to him about 4. His birthday was the day before. After church, we went to his house, shared with cake the next day, about 11:30 on that Monday. Stray bullet came through the window. He was on an oxygen machine, and he was taking his 11:30 oxygen treatment, and a stray bullet.
They never found out.
Never found out anything,
nothing.
right? And so I paid $7,500 for the same wall. And my cousin passed a few years ago. His name was Clay McMurtry.
I know him.
We called him Butch. Yeah,
He was a friend of mine. He dated my girlfriend.
okay. Well, Butch was in the music aspect, promoter.
But Clay, he was Grammy nominated and everything.
Yes, with the Temptations. Well, that was my cousin.
I did not know
And
that.
when I went to try to put him in the same spot where my mom, my brother, my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother, the late Reverend Mia Mel Gooch, and my Aunt Nancy's on the other side of the wall, that same wall was $1,600.
Was how much?
16,000.
15,000.
16,000.
Wow.
And so therefore we could not afford it.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's quite expensive to be in that wall. But we couldn't afford it. We just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so with that happening, it's just that funeral costs are very expensive. And again, I try to keep my prices low, even though steel keeps going up. Everything's going up, but I still work off the same margin aspect. So it's not so much, but I try to do quality. We try to do quality.
But you're renting caskets now and things like that?
There are rental caskets available, and you rent those from the casket companies. We have them in our facilities where you can rent.
You could buy a casket at Walmart. Online,
yeah,
Amazon.
You can, but I can't be responsible for it.
Oh, listen to you.
Now, here's a little something that you might want to read. You see the best 30 funeral homes in the city
in
right
Detroit.
there? Yeah, and you see who's
Best
first.
funeral home.
You see
Stinson.
I'm number
Go,
one.
boy.
And the Trinity Chapel
Is number 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Proud of you.
Yeah, so we try to
Go,
do.
boy. That's great.
We try to do the best work for minimum amount of money. We try to give you complete service.
I see.
Because people, I think at that time, people should have the best that they can get for what they can afford, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
You know,
Absolutely. It
When-
absolutely makes sense.
because people are important.
No question about it.
And
And your
as-
memories of your mother and your memories of your are important.
right,
It's important that they be correctly, if you will, laid to rest.
even when I go to a local store, I think I think I should, and I shouldn't say ought to because that's not grammatically correct, but I am who I am. I think people should get the best that they can afford in that particular store and not be mistreated because they're not spending as much money as somebody else.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
But that's not the way our society. And I know that sounds kind of far fetched.
No, but it doesn't because of what you said about your roots, about where you came from, about the struggles that you had. You've never forgotten, and you always reach back. That's what's important.
Yeah, I remember a time, and I'm sure Linda, you may remember when EPS, EPPS, EPS was on Livernois and Puritan. It was a sporting store.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
You remember?
Yeah.
That's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember when we were on the bus, and we were on the Puritan bus.
Okay.
We're talking about the 60s. And Epps was over there and asked my mom for a pair of red Coaches. And
Coaches?
That was gym shoes.
Oh, okay.
She said to me, we can't afford them. I had a black pair. Had a black pair of Coaches, a black pair of church shoes, and a black pair of church shoes. A brown pair and a black pair of church shoes, and one pair of
So
gym
she
shoes.
took you to church all the time?
Yeah, man, please. Girl, please. That's
Really?
all we did. And when I asked her for it, she said we couldn't afford it. That did something to me.
Really?
It embedded something to me.
I'm going to make money.
I'm not
I'm
make
not
money.
going to be broke.
I'm not broke, not make money, but I'm never going to hear that I can't afford something.
Okay.
I
That
could
you want.
that I want.
I heard that now. It's in your eyes. The determination is there.
It made sense to me. You got to strive to get what you want.
Correct.
You don't have to beg.
Nope.
You don't have to borrow.
Nope.
You don't have to steal. You certainly don't have to kill.
Nope.
For what you want. But you got to have determination yourself to go get it. How? Educate yourself. Read.
Correct.
Learn. Put yourself around people where you want to go. Then the next thing, after you surrounded yourself around people where you want to be, because if you're the smartest person in your group's not too big.
I would agree.
And when I don't know something, I will call, I've called next. I will call in a minute and say, tell me about this, that, and the other, because I want to be correct.
Absolutely.
And this is what I would like to see black men, young men.
And women.
And women.
But women are probably more successful than young black men.
Yeah, but my young men that work in my facility, they're in their 30s. I have a few senior guys around it too, but I got I recruit young guys. that want to go somewhere.
But while you don't discriminate based on age, I'm sure.
No, absolutely.
Or gender.
I got some seniors.
Or gender.
No, gender.
Okay, okay.
All my directresses, I said directresses, are females.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yes. All female funeral
That's
directors.
good. Let's go back to politics for a minute.
Sure.
We talked a little bit about the city of Detroit. So you're comfortable with the direction of comfortable with what our people are doing in terms of trashing our community, but you're comfortable with the direction of the city. Is that correct?
To some degree.
Okay.
Okay.
What degree
And when
are
I think it's got to be about us and not about me. Okay.
I agree.
And it's got to be politics,
not politics.
Yeah, you've got my saying, huh? And not politics. We just had redistricting. I don't like the lines.
I was going to ask you about that.
I don't like the lines.
Okay.
I do not like them because it does not put enough individuals, as the lines are drawn, enough individuals in office like me.
What do you mean?
African
Americans. Yeah,
we have to run.
But can you draw a line based on race? No.
No, you can't. But do we?
Well, the question I'm asking you, do we?
Yes.
Okay, so you think we didn't
The
draw them fairly?
The lines are, no, they're not fair. Come on, they're not
okay.
fair. The line, and I can say this because I don't work on anybody's payroll.
Okay.
And see, I can't speak clearly, or effectively, I should say. I can speak very clearly. Not being too verbose, but I can speak very clearly, but I can't speak effectively when somebody else is paying me.
Correct.
Because I got to dance by their music.
Absolutely.
So I dance by
your own.
My music.
Yep.
Like
unbought.
And unbossed.
Unbossed.
I've said that so many times to so many people, and so many people in politics.
Okay, so these lines, though, are drawn now. The courts have approved them. So it's done. Finito boot.
Right.
So now, what do you think about our congressional candidates? But before you answer that question, I want to remind everybody that you're watching WJZZ Cool TV and my guest today is the Honorable Dr. Curtis Williams. He's an entrepreneur in so many ways and a public figure as well as a leader in this community. I'm attorney Linda Bernard, also Police Commissioner Linda Bernard. You're watching Chop It Up. Watch us, listen to us, pay attention to us on all social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, etc. And I invite you to subscribe, comment, and certainly call in. Okay, back to politics in terms of this huge congressional race that we've got now in terms of candidates. So, what's your take on this?
Well,
and the reason that it's important, I might remind our audience, is that the primary is August 2nd, as I think.
It is.
Okay, August 2nd. So whoever wins the primary essentially wins the seat because it's going to be a Democratic seat. Mm-hmm. So this Democratic primary is really super hot. Now, in terms of, I don't have any idea what's happening with the Republican primary. I mean, what's going on over there because they haven't won this seat in years. But okay, talk to me about this primary and the candidates.
Well, I think all the candidates.
It's about 13 or 15 of them, isn't it?
Somewhere like that. I think it's.
Has everybody filed their petitions yet?
I'm not sure who has filed, who's not. I do know that one individual dropped out so far.
Who was that?
Brother Godby.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he did.
He's a minister.
Yes, he is.
Raf dropped out.
Okay.
Okay, fine. But
how many black people? How many women? How many men? That's what I really want to ask. I think everybody is a person of color that's in the race.
But I'm not sure how many women are running.
Mm-hmm. But everybody in the race is a person of color.
I think it's two. Here's the deal.
No, it isn't. It's Sherry and the young lady that runs Focus Hope, Burton.
Okay.
Her.
Yes.
And I understand that Sharon McPhail has picked up petitions.
Oh, I don't know.
That's the truth.
Okay.
I talked to Keith Williams, who's head of the Black Leadership Council.
Yes.
And he actually did 2 polls.
Okay.
Sharon McPhail came in number 1. 2 polls on who should be the congressperson.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon McPhail came in as number 1 in both polls. I haven't talked to her yet, but I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, she has now picked up petitions.
Okay.
So she's getting her signatures like everybody else.
And then there's the young lady that's running that I think our present congressperson is supporting. I can't think.
That's her. That's the woman who's the head of Focus Hope.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, there are three women, lots of guys.
Yes.
I get text messages and so forth from people asking me, like you do, support their campaign. Who is this person?
Right.
You know, anyway, but they're really muddying the waters. But who do you like?
Well, I'm going to keep that to myself at this time.
Until later. That's
but
fine.
Here's the deal. We keep saying it's an African American seat. And we need a broker. We don't have a broker. Back in the days.
Well, Carolyn was a broker.
Well,
Carolyn Kilpatrick was a broker.
Hear me clearly. Back in the day, if God rest his soul, if the late Coleman Alexander Young were alive, he would call everybody in.
Okay.
And he would broker the deal who's going to run.
And everybody else would fall back.
Everybody would
fall back.
Well, but here's the point. He would find a place for them.
I got that part.
That's the broking. Here's the deal. You got too many African Americans running for one seat. And I'm going to say it plainly, and everybody can get mad at me. They're looking for a job. It's a job.
I agree with you. Okay. It's a good job.
It's a job.
Damn good job.
Yeah, it's a job. They're looking for a job. Everybody's looking for this job, for this one seat. Okay? Unfortunately, we're not in position as African Americans. We don't have anybody to broker the deal and then place people. Hear me clear. You asked me a question. Hear me clear. If we had somebody that could broker the deal and say, okay, Linda, if you come out the race, you're going to be working over here for this organization, and you're going to be working. Going to be split.
Correct. Totally. Fractured.
Right.
1,000 pieces.
Right. So then whoever gets in. Now we say it's an African American seat, but I'm gonna just be frank with you because that would end up being my congressperson. I want a qualified individual.
Me and you both. Me and you both.
I want a qualified person
who can produce and who has
who can bring
resources.
the bacon back to the stove,
and who has the resources to make that happen.
Yeah.
And just as from a historical context, I remember when Mayor Washington died in Chicago.
Sure.
And I've done a lot of work and everything with Rainbow Push.
Right. Absolutely.
So, and I remember being at Rainbow Push in the church and Jesse speaking about the fact that there were 8 candidates for mayor in Chicago. And he was saying, we have to narrow this field. We have to, because we can lose this city. We had our first black mayor. We want to have a second black mayor. But the Negroes would not listen. And Jane Byrne, a white lady, won, who was completely and totally incompetent. Based on her record. I didn't know her personally or anything like that. But I witnessed it happen in the city of Chicago, where everybody was going to stand their ground. No wiggle room. It's going to be me. It's going to be. And the 6 guys that won, that ran against Jane Byrne, we had won. It would have just been one, like you just said. But Jane won because of the fractured voting. So it was what it was, and she was terrible. And so Mayor Washington's legacy was destroyed as a result of that. So what you're saying is absolutely true. I too want someone that's very competent, and that's the key part for me.
And who can bring home the bacon?
Yeah, and I tell that to people all the time. When I'm talking about professionals, I'll tell people. So when you go to a doctor, you don't care whether they're white or black or Asian. What you want is a person with healing hands, because you want to be healed. You don't. That's not a criteria. And based on what you just said, your criteria is the ability to bring resources to this community. That's number one, and of course, in the process as well, to be honorable, respectable, etc., to be a good leader. So, I mean, that is the criteria, and you're absolutely right. But I think everyone in the race is a person of color.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone is.
Yes.
I've had the Cherie, of course, is browner than you, and he's been a guest on my show, and he's our representative.
Well, I helped him get where he is.
I like him. Yeah, I like him.
I helped him.
He's a
get where he
scientist,
is.
and he's like you and me. He thinks,
Yeah.
and he's like you in the sense that he's a very successful businessman, and he did it on his own. His situation was much worse than yours.
Sure.
He lived in a one-room house
Right,
with
right.
10 kids, with 8 kids, 2 parents. It was a dirt floor.
Sure.
He ate off the floor, slept on the floor, lived on the floor. I mean, then studied by candlelight. I mean, his situation was way beyond anybody I know
Sure.
that's black.
Sure.
I mean, we've always had more resources than what he had in India.
Well, here's the deal.
And then he created his, like just as you did, you said, he's a self-made person. You know, he slept in his car when he was in Ohio working for $300 a week. He was telling us, sitting right where
Because
you're
he
sitting.
sent the money back home.
Yeah, $75. He said $75 of the $300 and stayed in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Who does this? I mean, he slept on the floor. They didn't know about it when he was at the University of Michigan in a what do you call it? Those bags that
Yeah,
people
sleeping
bag.
bag.
Yeah, they didn't know. He was in the summer when it was hot. He would sleep on the floor. He'd leave, act like he was leaving, but he'd stay sleep on the floor after the janitors left. In the biology lab. Who does this?
That's called perseverance.
That's what you talked about earlier.
Perseverance.
And about being focused on his goal.
Paul said, I press toward the mark. I don't look behind me, but I press toward the mark. I'm moving forward. I helped him become state rep. I was what you call his church representative. Yes, I took him to churches. Yes, did I get persecuted, ridiculed? Yes, I did.
I didn't know you did that, but that's cool.
I was his church person.
I have a lot of respect for him.
I took him to the churches in our district, in our community, because I had a relationship.
Absolutely.
And I still have a relationship with pastors. I'm still a preacher. I'm still Pastor Williams.
Correct.
You follow me? And I took him to the churches. I was his rep as far as going into the religious community, helping him get into some of the nursing homes. Yes, I did. But I was, again, qualifications. I took the paperwork. As you say, my neat self. That means I can sit all the paperwork down and not get it confused and not cross it over. I can take your paperwork and someone else's paperwork, sit it before me, put my glasses on, and I can take a look at it. And I can see for myself, it's not for anyone, but it's for myself, who I feel in my
make your
heart
own
is the
evaluation.
best qualified individual. And that's what I did. I helped him become state rep. I got beat up about it by many people in politics.
Correct.
But I could only say to them, I chose who I chose because of the qualifications that the individual had.
I understand.
And then, and I said, I still love you even though you beat me up. You're still my person.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
But I can't.
Excellence matters to me.
Well, you heard me say that earlier. Excellence is important,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why I helped him. I didn't help him because of whatever finances he had.
No.
I helped him because I believed in him. And then I'll tell you this. When I see something that he's not doing and somebody tells me about it, I'll call and ask him.
Me and you both.
And then I'm mad. And if he voted away in Lansing that was not conducive to the community, I'd call him and ask him.
Right.
And if he were here, I even went to Lansing and we walked together and talked.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And because I needed to know. I helped you.
Right.
So I need to know.
So what's the deal?
Yeah, I needed to know.
But what you're saying about this about what can happen in Detroit is so very, very true. But getting to the best qualified person is going to be tough. We've got some very qualified people.
Take their dossiers, take their resumes, take a look at them, pray over them, and read. You got to read them. You got to read them, and you got to determine what they have done and what they have done.
And what they are doing.
And what they're doing and what they should be doing.
Correct.
And
Or could have done and didn't.
Yeah, because you do know people lobby and try to buy this, that, and the other.
Okay.
And they can buy something and where something is conducive for the community, and somebody has said, why don't you change your mind because I'm giving you this and this. That's why I said it can't be about that individual. It's got to be about everybody. It can't be about me. It's got to be about everybody.
About our community.
Yeah.
And I share that sentiment. So we're looking forward to. You said today it's the 14th that has their.
Well, it's not the 14th.
It's the Democratic.
It's the Democratic Convention downtown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's down. The Democratic Convention is today,
yes.
and it started when?
It starts at 2:30.
Okay, 2:30 today.
Yeah, 2:30.
And is the Andrew Jackson dinner tonight? Or
No, no,
There's no dinner down doing the dinner.
Not that. It's just the Michigan Democratic Party
Okay.
having something down in Cobo Hall, the convention.
All
Not
right.
Cobo Hall.
It's Cobo Hall. It will
TCF.
always be Cobo Hall.
Well,
Now it's Huntington Place.
Yeah, whatever.
There's not.
Here's the deal.
Cobo.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal.
convention
You
center.
read the history. Cobo was racist.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
I know that.
So
I know
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
But so was Woodward, and we didn't change the name of Woodward Avenue.
Trying to.
No, we're not. No, we're not going to do that. Woodward is Woodward. We just cannot reverse all history, and we won't do that. But it's just been, I can't tell you how enlightening it has been for me today. Let me see if there were any other questions that I had specifically for you. We talked about everything except the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to be a pastor?
Well, the calling. It's
Well,
a
how
calling.
did you know that you were called?
Well, God has a way of connecting with you and letting you know as an individual. Nobody but you will know when God's calling you for a specific task, for a specific reason, to do something. I've been, I'm going since 1975. I don't know how many years that's been.
Okay.
And half those years were pastoring.
Wow.
You know.
Okay.
So now I'm on this thing about young preachers, young ministers, you know, young guys going into church. You want to give them the best that you can.
Well, you've given this community the best that you could, and I'm very happy that you could be my guest today, Reverend Curtis Williams, Dr. Curtis Williams, Funeral Director Curtis Williams.
No,
and
funeral home owner.
Pardon me,
not
not director. Pardon me.
owner.
Right. If you have to own it. All right. Thank you again. You've been a great guest. I want to thank our audience for tuning in to Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard here on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
Thank you so much, Linda. God bless.